This time around, Tom Hanks substitutes the volleyball for a dog and a robot. Wilson! What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of Finch, the latest Apple TV Plus movie starring Tom Hanks. On a post-apocalyptic Earth, a robot built to protect the life of his creator's beloved dog learns about life, love, friendship, and what it means to be human. So before I give you guys my thoughts on this movie, make sure to hit that like button, comment your thoughts on the movie down below, as well as if you're excited for the movie or not if you have not seen it yet, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future reviews, rankings, all that good stuff. Tom Hanks movies as of late have kind of fallen from grace in my eyes. Like, there was this golden period of Tom Hanks in the 90s and early 2000s where everything he did was beloved. It was getting Oscar nominations. He was getting nominated for Oscars. And it's been like a long time since we've gotten really great Tom Hanks performances on a consistent basis. And I'm here to say that his performance in this movie is solid, but it kind of falls in line with the recent trend of Tom Hanks films where he's giving a solid performance, but the script and everything around it doesn't really give him anything to latch onto or give him like an edge to kind of push himself for an Oscar nominations or get awards consideration. But now that I have that out of the way, Finch was really surprising. I had no clue what this movie was about going into it. I had only seen the poster with Tom Hanks and a robot on it, so I thought it was going to be like Chappie, which again is another movie I actually haven't seen. I just knew it from the poster. But I went into this movie and it kind of felt like it might be like The Martian at first, as we see Tom Hanks playing this character who's in like an astronaut-esque suit, and it's kind of an abandoned location, but that's not at all what the case is here, as this is like a road trip style movie that just so happens to be in a post-apocalyptic setting. In fact, this is not a plot-driven movie at all. It's much more character-driven and emotionally resonant. The camaraderie formed between Tom Hanks, his dog, and the robot that it creates is the heart and soul of this movie, and it really anchors it from beginning to end. Seeing them adventure throughout this world that has been destroyed is really powerful, and it lends itself to a lot of moments that were sweet and heartfelt and definitely left a smile on my face. But the overall message of this movie is really impactful, and I think that it has a lot to say about humanity's impact on the environment and the earth that we live on. And in many ways, it could be an ominous ode to the future if certain changes are not made to the environment and the current state of the world we live in. And I find it really off-putting and scary and freaky when I think about it. Climate change and the global warming talk is a real thing right now, and this kind of gives audiences a glimpse of what the world could possibly look like one day, where Tom Hanks' character has to wear a UV protection suit outside, and he's suffering from years of radiation poisoning just because there's now a hole in the ozone layer. It's really ominous, and I hope that the world actually never gets to that point, but I feel like the movie has a really powerful message when it comes to protecting the environment and making sure that we as people kind of get the idea of leaving the world better off than we found it for the next generation. But it's not just some overwhelming propaganda message about, hey, you need to protect the environment. There's a lot more depth to it, specifically when it comes to humans and their impact on humanity. This movie has a lot to say about the legacy you leave behind and the pieces that will be remembered about you. I just find that really powerful. Like, I've always wanted to try and leave an impact on my friends and family in the world, and maybe some people might have some stories to tell about me one day when I'm gone, and I won't just be forgotten. And I think this movie also has a lot to say about that. So I have to give credit to the writing room for being able to pull off a really compelling narrative when it comes to blending different themes while also having a major road trip, like coming of age vibe. And while I really did find this movie to be sweet and emotionally heartfelt in the end, there's definitely pacing issues, and it is a major slow burn, and not for the better sometimes. Like, I found myself struggling to stay invested at times, especially in the first hour of the movie, where it's basically Tom Hanks' character just venturing out to different places with this robot kind of teaching him the laws of the land, and it can really just drag at times. And I understand that the movie's going for character development and build up, but there's a certain point in time where I'm like, okay, you've done enough. We understand the world and the characters, and we know them well enough. You can kind of ease off the character development here and actually get on with the story. There's like a clear turning point, in my opinion, where I was like, okay, this is getting a lot more intense. However, there's a lot of just dragging and meandering in the first hour of the movie that can lose audiences' attention, and I feel like a lot of people might turn the movie off just because they lose interest quicker than they would have liked. But again, I have to give credit to Tom Hanks, as he's basically a one-man band here. He's the only like human actor in this movie pretty much, and he's acting with a CGI robot and a dog, so he does the best he can, even though I think this movie and his performance is incomparable to the golden age of Tom Hanks in the majority of his beloved movies. I also think Miguel Sapochnik, the director of many Game of Thrones episodes, notably Battle of the Bastards, Hard Home, and The Long Night, he's a pretty famous Game of Thrones director, does a good job in this movie. I mean, his presence isn't really felt in my opinion. It feels a little bit like a generic streaming service movie at times, but that doesn't take away from the great moments it has where it really pulls on the heartstrings and allowed for audiences to feel that emotional attachment to these characters and the family relationship that they form. Like throughout the course of the movie, it feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy type family where it's kind of ragtag and it really shouldn't work on paper. I think it has a really sweet ending, and it's one that I did not despise like a lot of these streaming service original movies that feel like they're lacking any real vision or artistic inspiration. It just feels like some product that is made for money. I don't think that's what Finch is at all. I actually think it has a lot to say. It's got a pretty impactful message. It has a solid Tom Hanks performance. It's not the most memorable movie ever, and I don't love it by any means, but it's not some streaming service original movie garbage that is going to be disposable and forgotten about in a day. At the end of the day, I think Finch is a solid watch. I actually recommend checking it out if you have Apple TV Plus, and because of that, I'm going to give Finch 3.5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, a solid movie that really won me over in the second act. While it does kind of meander and take a lot of time in that first act, it makes up for it in the second act, in my opinion. It really did pull on the heartstrings. Maybe I'm just a sucker for Tom Hanks, robots, and dogs, but if you like those things, I think you'll like this movie. But that's going to do it for my thoughts on Finch. Definitely hit that like button, comment your thoughts on the movie down below. Are you anticipating it? What's your favorite Tom Hanks performance from the 2000s and onward, because I feel like his golden days were definitely in the 1990s. But thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future reviews, rankings, all that good stuff. Got a ton of MCU content right around the corner. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.